everybody, welcome back to another episode of Much Ado About Board Games. Today we're going to be talking all about Lost Cities. This is a two-player game put out by Rio Grande Games, and the designer is Reiner Knizia. So let's take a look and see what's inside the box. Of course, we have directions. We have a game board that will be put out just like this. And we have a deck of cards. So in the deck, there are 60 cards, 5 colors, so each color has 12 cards. So you'll see there are 3 cards that will have handshakes, and these are called investment cards. And then the cards are numbered 2 all the way up to 10. And you'll have that for each color within the deck. So the object of the game is to start an expedition, a particular color, that will earn you the most points. You can also use the investment or handshake cards to gain even more points. So to set up the game, you will place the game board, you shuffle the cards, and you deal 8 cards to each player. Again, this is only a 2-player game. And if you saw our episode on Board Game Arena, which I'll link below, this is one of the games that you can play on Board Game Arena. It plays really well, and it's a lot of fun. You kind of have to think ahead, gamble a little bit, and then once time starts running out, that's when you're just hoping and praying that you'll be able to get exactly what you need to make the most points. So we're going to deal out 8 cards. And this, I'm just going to show you kind of what I would do. In a minute, we're going to have our zoom through with our special guest, Julian. So these are my 8 cards that I have. So let's see, I have 2 reds, blue. Ooh, I have a lot of white. So that's going to have a red handshake and a blue handshake. So as I'm thinking about this, I know already that this handshake is going to give me an investment. So that means that I'll get 2 times the number of points. If you have 2 investment cards, it's 3 times. And if you have 3 investment cards, it's 4 times the number of points. To enter an expedition, that will cost you 20 points. So if you put down any card, it's negative 20. But as soon as you start adding your cards, then you'll be making your points up. So the way that a round works is that whoever the start player is, which is the oldest person, you'll put down a card. And so you can, if I decide I want to put down my red handshake, I'm going to put that right here. Some people put them here, but I kind of like to have them on the board because it makes it easier. And then I have to draw a card from the draw pile. And I received another blue card. So now my opponent will take their turn, and I'm just going to put down the first card. So they have a blue too. So now I know that we're going to be splitting blue cards if I decide that I want to enter into that race. So the next thing I'm going to do is look at my hand again. I have another handshake, so I'm going to put that down. Handshakes have to be put down first. Once you start putting down numbered cards, you can no longer use a handshake. So I'm going to draw another card, and I got a 4, a red 4, which is good because I already have a handshake there. So we've seen some handshakes. Now let's talk a little bit about putting down the numbered cards. So again, they're numbered from 2 to 10. Each card has 1 of each number. And once you start laying down your numbered cards, you have to go in numerical order. So let's talk about laying down the numbered cards. In Lost Cities, you have to start with your smallest number first. So I'm going to put down this red 4. Now, if I happen to draw a red 2 or 3, I will not be able to place it because I've already placed the 4. So you want to start with your lowest card and then work up to your highest card. And sometimes you might want to wait for a little bit to see what exactly you're going to draw. So since I put down my 4, I'm going to draw another card, and I got a blue 9, which is really good. So now, because I have a big not a huge jump, but a jump from 4 to 6 for red, I'm going to go ahead and put down my blue 4. And I draw another card. Oh, and I got a blue 6, which is really good. So you'll continue laying out your cards. So here I would probably put down the 6 and you draw a card. And again, my opponent would be playing with me. So eventually my hand would end up like this because I'm going to put down my 6 and my 7. I'm going to put down my 9. And sometimes you're thinking, well, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. So you can always put down a card that you don't want. So to do that, instead of playing a card here in your expedition, you would just put it on top here. But that means that instead of, when your turn is over, instead of taking a card from the draw stack, you or your opponent could take one of these cards. So if my opponent is working on the yellows, I want to make sure that they've gone past 7 before I put down this 6, because if they see that 6 and they have maybe a 2 and a 4, then I know they're going to want to take this 6. And then looking at my white cards, though I didn't have a handshake agreement card, I noticed that I have a 6, a 7, and an 8, and that equals 21 points. So that means even though I won't get a lot of points, I'll get 1 point because it costs 20 points to enter into the expedition. So for white, I would have these, and that would net me 1 point. So now that you know the basics of the game, we're going to do a zoom through with Julian, and we'll show you how to score at the end. Okay, so we're back. We're ready to do our zoom through. I'm Melanie.
I'm Julian.
And we're going to see who wins. One thing I neglected to tell you was that this game is played in 3 rounds. So we'll play our first round, we'll show you how to score, we'll play the other 2 rounds, and then we'll find out who is the final victor. So I'm going to deal out 8 cards. Remember, we can look at these cards, and I'm going to put the draw pile right here. And since the oldest player gets to start, that means I get to start. So now we're going to zoom through, and as always, if we need to tell you something important, we'll stop and let you know. You ready to get your bootay kicked? I'm kidding.
That's not gonna happen.
Oh. So you'll notice that Julian just discarded a handshake because we had both played number cards, and he just wanted to get rid of that one to maybe be able to draw a card to see what he could get that would hopefully help him on his expeditions. Okay, and since...
Can I play this?
No.
Please.
And since I drew the last card out of the draw pile, that means the game is over for this round.
Instead of playing this, fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Julian apparently feels he made a poor choice. So now we're going to go through the score and we'll see how round 1 looks. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about scoring. For me, the first time it was a little bit confusing, But as soon as you enter an expedition, it's -20. So we're gonna score mine first. So for the yellow, I start out with -20, and then I'm going to add up my points. 2 + 5 + 6 + 8 is 21. So when I subtract -20 from 21, I will have 1 point, and I have no expedition, so I gained 1 point on the yellow expedition. We're gonna hop over to blue. This is gonna be a painful one for me because I did not get 20 points here. So I have my -20, and then I have 2 + 3 + 6 is 11. And when I subtract 11 from my -20, I get -9. Because I had 1 expedition handshake, I multiply it times 2, so that's -18. We're gonna go over here to white. This is still not a good situation for me. I have my handshake there, and I have -20, and then I have 2 + 6 + 8. So that gives me a -4 times 2 for my handshake. I net -8 points for white. Green, this is a good one. I worked really hard for green. I waited till the end and it paid off. So of course I have my -20, and then I have 3 + 4 + 6 + 7 + 9 + 10. So that gives me a net of 19. And because I had 2 handshakes, I multiply it by 3. So that gives me 57 points for the green expedition.
Greetings, quick scoring update. Just wanted to let you know that there's an oft forgotten rule in Lost Cities where if you get 8 or more cards per expedition, you get a bonus 20 points tacked on the end. Go ahead, carry on.
Red, let's see, so I have -20, and then I have 2 + 3 + 6 + 8. That gives me a -1 times 2 for my handshake. That gives me -2, and when I add up, 1 - 18 - 8 + 57 - 2, that gives me a total of 30. So the 30 points that I earned, I will take into round 2. So now we're gonna look at how Julian did. Okay, so here's how Julian did. So starting with the yellow, again, he has -20. He did really well on this one. He has 3 + 7 + 9 + 10. That's 29 points. No handshake, so he'll earn 9 points on his yellow expedition. When we get to blue, he'll have 5 + 7 + 8 + 9 + 10. Super good for him. And that gives him 19 points, and it's multiplied by 2 because he has his 1 handshake. So he earned a whopping 38 points for that blue expedition. For white, this is where it gets not so great for him. He ended up with 14 points, so that's -6 times 2 is 12. Green, same thing. He ended up with 13 points, so that's -7 times 2 for the handshake, and that's -14. And then over here on red, he did well again. He ended up with 7 + 9 + 10, so he ends up with 8 points there. And when we add 9, 38, -12, -14, and 8, he ends up with 29 points. So it was a super close round. I came in with 30 and Julian came in with 29. And now we're gonna zoom through rounds 2 and 3 and we'll show you what the final score is. Since I had the most points in that first round, I get to go first for round 2. Okay, so for round 2, I have 20 and you have -16.
I can come back.
So the game is over and we have added up the scores and this is what it looks like. So I won. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us for this episode of Much Ado About Board Games, where we played Lost Cities. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.